rolling here. Door shut. Everyone ready to go? Cool. All right, whenever you are ready.
What if one day your children were not able to go outside and play? Farmers were being forced into big company contracts. Friends and family continually suffered from sore throats, asthma, burning eyes, or headaches. Our earth was polluted by manure, chemicals, and toxins, or our animals were forced to live in filthy, cramped crates, pens, and sheds. Is this our earth in the distant future? No. It's what our world is turning into right now. Factory farms are taking over in the United States, and we need to do something about it. Factory farms are continually growing. And while they are jeopardizing the welfare of animals, they are also endangering our communities, our health, and our environment. The reason is that we can have inexpensive milk, eggs, and meat. As consumers of these products, we need to be knowledgeable about the living conditions of the farm animals that produce our food, the impact of the factory farmed animal on our environment, and the health risks that come from factory farming. Since I firmly believe in persuading you, the audience, that factory farming needs to stop, I have done research on the topic in hopes that you will see the downfalls the same way as the experts and I do. According to my audience questionnaire, more than 90% of you do not know what factory farming is. So let's start by understanding it more clearly. Factory farming is the practice of raising farm animals in confinement at high density where the farm acts as a factory. Large numbers of animals, typically cows, chickens, pigs, or turkey, are often kept in crowded and cramped spaces. The aim of the operation is to produce as much eggs, meat, and milk at the lowest possible cost to the farmer. How do they do this, you may ask? By producing these items in bulk, in large factory-style farms, companies that run these factories have a lower cost when producing these products, which in turn allows the company to sell us, the consumers, the products at a lower price. First, we're going to take a look at the welfare of the animals being put into these farms. Now, from my survey, I found that over half the class is against animal abuse, so you may find these next facts very shocking. Just 2% of the U.S. livestock facilities raise 40% of all animals, most of which are pigs, chicken, and dairy cows, all inside factory farms. What this means is a high concentration of animals confined in very cramped living conditions, and is also, in turn, where our food comes from. Animals are confined mainly indoors and as closely as possible not allowed to roam or graze on the pasture as they naturally would. How does this affect us, you might ask? Think about where your eggs come from. The fact is, they come from a bird that spends its entire life in a cramped space, smaller than a piece of paper to live. In the same area, they have to eat, sleep, lay their eggs, and defecate. Pigs are forced into small crates as well, where they don't even have enough room to turn around or extend their legs. Cows are in crowded feedlots. They are confined in small barns with chains tied around their necks. Now that I have showed you all the living conditions of these animals, let's take a look at what measures the owners take to prevent the animals' aggression due to their stressful living conditions. Pigs get their tails chopped off, with no pain medication, to prevent them from chewing on each other's tails because of the closeness and the boredom. One solution for this would be to provide hay, but farmers don't do this because it's just another cost that takes away from their profit, and it's another chore that the farmers have to keep up with. So instead of hay, pigs get cold floor or barren ground. Cows also get their tails cut off, and this is simply for the convenience of the dairy workers. A cow without its tail makes for easier access to the udders. Again, there's no anesthesia and is very painful to these poor animals. Now that we have seen the overview of what happens to the animals in these factory farms, we will see what happens to the environment. Due to the overcrowding and the unsanitary living conditions, the animals aren't the only ones that suffer. Most of the environmental harm that is caused by factory farms results from all of the waste coming from these animals that must be disposed of. This is from confining so many animals indoors. Some of the operations produce as much waste as an entire city. And since there is not enough land available to spread all the manure, animal waste is overapplied to the land, which contaminates the water supply and emits harmful gases into the air. You may question this by thinking that manure is a fertilizer, which it is, but the problem here is too much of anything is harmful. It is being over-applied, leaving us with these problems. The cost to move the animal waste is so high that approximately 90% of the manure doesn't leave the area in which it was produced because farmers don't want to have to pay the price. I will now explain exactly how this excess waste contaminates our land, water, and air. When the manure is over-applied to the land, it deposits excess nutrients that deplete the water's oxygen levels and threatens aquatic life. They also emit pollutants into the air, including methane, which is implicated in climate change and global warming. Other emissions include hydrogen sulfide, which is extremely dangerous, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. These gases have not only been linked to global warming, but also to serious medical conditions involved in humans. All of this is stated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. We have looked at the damages factory farms do to the animals and the environment, so now let's look at what it does to our bodies. There are many health risks in humans that are associated with factory farming. As David Kirby, author of Factory Farm, Animal Factory, puts it, many Americans have no idea where their food comes from, and many have no desire to find out. The U.S. meat industry gives antibiotics to factory farmed chicken, fish, pigs, and cattle to allow for faster growth and to prevent the spread of disease in these cramped, unhygienic living spaces. As the bacteria becomes more resistant to the antibiotics fed to the chickens and other animals raised for meat, they become more resistant to the antibiotics used to treat sick people like us. The reason we are seeing an increase in human resistance in food-borne diseases is because of the antibiotics used on the factory farms. Diseases that have been linked to factory farms and antibiotics are E. coli, influenza, bird flu, salmonella, and most recently, the swine flu. This was all reported by the Pew Commission on Industrial Farm Animal Production in 2008. Luckily though, there is something that we can do to end this awful cycle. All of us have the ability to make a change. The producers make their food according to what we as the consumers buy. Therefore, every time we go to the grocery store, we are making a vote as to how we want our food to be prepared. It is not too late to help and even reverse the effects of these factory farms. There are 4 easy ways that I will discuss with you today as to how we can practice our rights to healthier food. First, we the people have to demand wholesome food. We need to tell Congress to enforce food safety standards. We can do this by writing to our very own Madison Congress. After my speech, I will hand out contact information to our Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin. It provides her address, phone number, and email, so you can reach her in a plethora of ways. When contacting Congress, express your need for safer food products and the need for food labels that identify where each food product comes from and what process it went through. Second, only buy food products from companies that treat workers, animals, and the environment with respect. As all of you did not know this answer from my audience analysis poll, your food travels about 1,500 miles to get to your plate. Considering all the places it must have gone in those 15,000 miles, you tell me if it's worth it to put a little research into where the food you're eating is coming from. Also, an easy way for us to get local food is to go to our very own farmers market a few blocks down the road. It has local farmers selling fresh items. Not only will you be getting healthy food products from the animals that have not been put through the torture, we are also helping to stimulate our economy right here in Madison. The third way to practice our rights to healthier food is to ask our school to have healthy school lunches with organic alternatives and products that do not come from factory farms. Talk to our dean or our student board right here in Whitty. The fourth way to allow ourselves a healthy diet is to plant a garden. Now, I know this may not be possible at school for most of us. However, encouraging your parents to do this is a good way to involve more people in the movement to stop the food from becoming even more industrialized. In conclusion, factory farms are excessively harmful to animals, the environment, and our health. Millions of animals are being abused daily. Communities near these factories are being ruined. Family farms are being forced out of business, and they are creating new deadly viruses that are immune to our medicines. We need to wake up and act now before it's too late. The quality of our lives and our children's lives depend on it.